Hello and welcome back to WA Real. I'm your host Bryn Edwards. Life as an athlete is what we're going to dive into today with my guest Dave Muir. Growing up in Netherlands, Dave played local footy, starting out playing for Claremont Colts, where he won best and fairest. He then went on to play reserves and then the year after played league. He was drafted to the Eagles, then North Melbourne, and then he played the first 2 years for the Fremantle Dockers team. In the background, Dave surfed his whole life. And in 2009, at the age of 38, Dave was invited to the Stand-Up World Contender Tour. He came second in Tahiti, then in 2010 he went back to Tahiti and won it. Since then, Dave has continued to compete on the World Tour. Dave, welcome to the show.
Oh, good morning. How are you, mate?
Good morning, Saturday.
Afternoon.
There you go. So as I said at the start, and it's one of the questions I always ask my guest, is because it's called WA Real. You grew up here in Western Australia, not all of us did, in Netherlands. Tell me, what was it like growing up in WA and what are some of your fondest memories of growing up here?
Well, I sort of grew up, I had two older brothers and an older sister, so I was the youngest, so I was just pretty much trying to keep up with them most of my life. I went to, my first 3 years I went to Dockers Primary, and then in year 4 I went to Trinity College from years 4 to year 10, and then went to John 23rd for my final years. I actually repeated year 10, which is probably a bit of a waste of time. But it was good because I met a lot of crew around my area, so that was a good part. Probably wasn't the best thing for my schooling, but it was good fun nonetheless.
Yeah. And are you passionate about being a West Aussie, or do you see yourself as being an Australian?
Yeah, no, West Aussie for sure. Always, when I go away, fly the West Aussie flag. I'm proud to be Australian, but I think, the West Aussies, we're sort of a country in our own, aren't we, over here?
Very true.
But mate, I love Western Australia. It's great. It's the coastline's unbelievable, and it's if you want to get away from the crowds, you can. You just have to
that easy, isn't it?
Travel. Yeah, that's it, mate. We're pretty lucky here in the West.
Very.
Yeah.
So were you doing? How old were you when you first started surfing and stuff?
Mate, I was a kid. When I was younger, I did a lot of swimming. Myself and my brothers, we swam a lot. Yeah, Jono, my oldest brother, I think he's done 8 or 9 solos to Roto, as we were talking about the Roto swimming before. So, I've done a few. I've done mainly in teams. I've done 1 solo, which almost killed me. But as you know, and that's probably one of our biggest sporting events all year, the Roto swim. If you haven't seen it or participated in it, you really got to get down there one morning and see the boats all go off because it's just a spectacle, isn't it? With all the lights and
something else.
Yeah, it is. It's brilliant.
So, tell me about your rise from the Claremont Colts up to being in that first couple of years of the Fremantle Dockers.
Yeah, at school, I just played. I love sport. Sport was my thing. Probably not the brightest bloke in the world, but when it comes to catching a ball or something, I was generally pretty good. But I just participated in anything, and it was sort of when I was coming to the end of the schooling, my mum's father, actually my mum comes from Geraldton, she's a Clune, so her father is JJ Clune.
Right.
And the actual medal up there, the district medal is called the JJ Clune, so he was a pretty good footballer, and I think somebody in our family, they wanted to be a footballer, and I think it was just me, you know what I mean? So, but also, I love footy, don't get me wrong, I loved the whole thing of, chasing a ball and mates and team and, you know what I mean? I just frothed on it, so I grew up playing Dockers Netherlands and then made a couple of development squads with Claremont, and then played for Hawks, which was an under 15-16 combined side, not a combined side, just our area, so Claremont, Cottesloe, Netherlands.
Yeah.
And then, we had a few good players go through. We had Tony Evans and Ben Allen was another one, so we had some really good players go through there. And then luckily Tomsy, who was the coach, had an affiliation with Claremont Football Club, and then got me to start with the Colts.
Awesome.
So I went down and trained with them the first year, and yeah, I loved it. Claremont was unreal, really good club.
Yeah.
Probably my fondest memories of playing footy was Claremont, because money wasn't involved then, or if the money you got paid was really minimal, so you're out there for your mates, and it was there was more feeling involved. Once it turns professional and there's money involved, then it's all about fighting for your spot. You know what I mean? So are you going to put your head over? You are obviously, but it's when you're putting your head over the ball when there's no money involved, you're doing it for your mate alongside you. Do you know what I mean? So it's just all ladsy and rah and get the game over and have a beer and tell each other how good you were. You know?
See how great I was.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So how did you end up going from Claremont on?
Well, it's quite funny because I played the first year Colts and then second year reserves, and then my first year of league, I was actually, Jared sort of was putting me in the guts, so I was having a pretty good year. And then sort of halfway through the year, I just couldn't run anymore.
Yeah.
And then so they just sat me on the sideline for the second half of the year. And then I tried to come back to the finals and didn't have the fitness, so I played reserves. The Colts won the flag in 91, and then the league won, and then the Resi's lost, so I sort of missed out on the fame and medal that year. But then I tried to come back the next year, and it actually ended up I had a stress fracture in my navicular, which is in my foot.
Yeah.
So they had bone graft my hip and my foot. And then I sort of missed out on 12 months of playing footy there. But in that first year, there were 10 drafted from Claremont that year. So it was the most people drafted out of any club ever. So that was, but unfortunately I wasn't one of them.
Yeah.
But it was I'm just saying that's how much depth there was in that side,
Yeah.
Like we had such a good team. And Claremont at that time, was, strongest in the comp. We won a few flags over that era. They won the 91, 93, 96. Yeah. So, I was lucky enough to play in the 93, 96, but missed out the 91. But mate, it was just the culture behind the club and the boys, and just the feeling that everyone had for each other, and for Neesham as well. Like Neesham was such a good coach and top bloke. He was a great bloke, yeah.
So you had the injury, and then what happened? You sort of trained hard and came back. Yeah,
and then halfway through the year, sort of came back, and then got picked up in. So I was a bit older then. How old was I? I was probably about 23 when I got picked up in the 93 draft. So and it was quite bizarre because I played for Hawks, in juniors, and we all had our names. Like I was Crazy Chris Mew, wore number 2, and then so everyone had their name and number. You know what I mean? So and mate, until this day, the best grand final I've ever seen was the 89 grand final between Hawks and Geelong. Yeah. So I sort of idolised Hawthorn. Yeah. And then Alan Jeans came over, and he actually came to a parents' place and sat in my mum and dad's living room, and we had a good chat, and I told him how much I loved Hawthorn and everything else, and he goes, right, well, we'll pick you up later on in the draft, you know what I mean, but we'll definitely pick you up. I was like, you beauty. Yeah. And then what was that like? Oh, mate, well, I was hoping to be picked up by him, and then the Eagles picked me up. So, right. And at the time, I couldn't stand the Eagles because I was a Hawthorn supporter, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, when I say couldn't stand them, they were a local team, and obviously I knew a couple of guys there, but I didn't want to play there. I wanted to go to Melbourne and experience the whole Melbourne footy scene. Yeah, because that's what you grow up. I mean, grew up watching the Winners, and that show to me was like, you just hung out every Sunday to watch the Winners, you know what I mean? So, going to Melbourne, I was really hoping to do, but the Eagles picked me up, in 93. So, and then they won the flag in 92, 94. So, they wanted me to play midfield, and they were the best midfield in the country. So, good luck at getting a game,
And you didn't really, did you?
No, I didn't. I got they dropped me off the list, and then I got picked up on North Melbourne and went to North Melbourne for the year. And then Jared come across halfway through the year and said that he sort of got the job and would I be interested in coming back, and I was like, absolutely.
This was for...
That was when I was at North Melbourne.
Yeah.
To come back when Fremantle Dockers started. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I come back and played there in 95, 96.
And what was that like to play for a brand new team?
Oh, it was awesome, man. It was unreal.
Was it much like back at Claremont?
Yeah, look, there, and you know, people ask me that, and it was in a sense because we had a lot of Claremont players, ex-Claremont players there, and it was Neesham. But it wasn't because Jared didn't have the full control of it. He had, Claremont, he just ran the whole show, whereas here he had other people like assistant coaches, and it was professional, so he couldn't be as matey with the boys, and you know what I mean? Because, we all, at Claremont, once the game was over, we were drinking beers and having a good time together, whereas at that next level, he sort of had to, distance himself a bit.
Yeah.
He was the coach, and then as it does, then everything becomes more professional.
What were some of the big things that you learned during that time playing footy?
Wow, what did I learn? Well, you learn how to keep fit.
Yeah.
And mate, I had a big problem with soft tissue injury. I kept breaking down. So mate, the hardest thing is, and this is the thing, like, we were in the second year at Fremantle, we were the first club to go full time. So we were there from 7 in the morning till 1 o'clock in the arvo, and then we were back there from 4 o'clock in the arvo till 7:30 at night.
Right.
So
you were one of the first teams to be doing that.
We were the first team in the AFL to do it.
Right.
Yeah. And mate, it was hardcore. Like you just wanted the season to come around to play a game. So. Your whole life was devoted to footy, and that's what I was saying, like when you get injured, to keep that positive frame of mind and just to rehabilitate your injury and keep focused, and then it was really hard to keep that motivation, do you know what I mean? And so for me, the biggest thing that I learnt was how to keep your body in good nick and eating properly, and because, before that, diet obviously is a big thing, but just how much to load, what to eat and when to eat it, you know what I mean? And how to peak,
Right.
Be the best on the day, because it didn't matter how well you trained, but until you ran on the field for that game day, you wanted your body to be at 100%.
That's peak.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also...
So you learned how to do that?
Yeah, and not sort of waste your energy on certain things, When you were a bit younger, you used to run around in circles to get the ball, whereas as you got a bit older, you had to get a bit more streetwise, so to speak, when to put your body on the line, and that all came in too with having, a bit of a different influence. Neil Danaher there from Melbourne, and just, and different, and because the game at that stage, the game that Jared was adopting to AFL is the game that they're playing today.
Right.
So back then in Melbourne, it was inside footy. All the grounds were really wet and really muddy. Like if you're on the side of the G and you looked, you'd think that it was a beautiful grass pitch, but when you ran out over it, it was just mud.
Right.
So it didn't matter whether you had screw-ons or moulded soles, you'd
slip and slide.
Yeah, it was just total mud. You know what I mean? So your legs became very heavy after a short period of running over there, and just changing direction. You couldn't change direction fastly, so it was a lot of inside footy, a lot of handballing, a lot of man on man, and whereas what Jared was incorporating in was the chip and run and run into space and open up, which is what football is today, which is, so he was a bit of ahead of his time.
Right.
And our style of footy wouldn't work in Melbourne because of the grounds we were playing on.
Right.
It wasn't, you know what I mean?
They did over here with the faster, harder grounds.
Yeah. Exactly. So and then, so I remember when Alistair Clarkson, because I was actually fortunate enough to play with Clark over in the at North Melbourne, the two side. He was sort of his career was tapering off, and I was sort of trying to break in, so I played a lot of twos with him, and he actually came over and stayed with Jared for a couple of weeks. And when he won his first flag, they asked him. They said, "Oh, mate, where'd you find this new style of footy?" And he goes, "Mate, we're not doing anything new. This is what Jared, was trying to incorporate into the AFL a few years back. But his timing, he was ahead of his time because of the grounds and also like now it's an athlete. It's the two people it's matchups. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the two guys playing on each other are pretty much similar in height, weight, and their ability and all that. So, and that's why the interchange is used a lot, because they just keep running and running. You know what I mean? They run all day. Whereas back in our day, you didn't have to be able to run all day. Everyone with different sizes and heights and weights, and you know what I mean, which made the game a bit more exciting, I reckon.
So you played at Fremantle for 2 years.
Yeah.
How did that come to an end?
Mate, well, as I said, I was getting, I had the highest soft tissue injury at Freo, so I kept breaking down. Plus, mate, I didn't have the best skill level, so I think that let me down a bit. And yeah, mate, like I was sort of 27, going on 28, so they went with a couple of younger boys, so.
Was that pretty hard?
What, to bow out at that stage?
Yeah.
Mate, do you know what? I was actually ready to go by that stage. Looking back in hindsight, I would have liked to play a lot more footy. And the way that I approached it back then was probably different to how I'd probably run it a bit now. I mean, I was more, but yeah, I'd sort of go in and sort of knock people over a bit, so to speak, just to because that was my job, just to go in there and
get a bit physical.
And sort of make people second guess, because when they second guess, it gives us another second, and then one of our boys, it might spill out to them, and so that was sort of my role a bit, you know what I mean? So, I mean, to get it more of the ball would have been good fun, but look, I was at the same time, there's a lot of good players that never make it, so I was just,
Tough to have
I was happy
been
enough
there, seen it.
Yeah, that's it. Played 29 games, and that was my number on my back, so
there you go.
Time to bow out.
Awesome. So it was 10 years later before you ended up on the World Sup Tour. We'll come to that in a minute. What did you do during the intervening 10 years?
Well, I did a lot of surfing.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
A mate of mine as well, who I played at Claremont with, Lance Chirac, was the coach down at Margaret River Hawks.
Yeah.
So he said, "Look, mate, we'll give you a bit of cash if you come down." So I was earning some good money down there, and then I was working for Cadbury as a sales exec. So I was doing 3 or 4 days with them, and then doing 3 or 4 days down in Margaret's and going surfing. So, but mate, that was my passion growing up, surfing, you know what I mean? Like, I went to school with the Patterson brothers and sort of watching them and thought they had a pretty good gig, you know what I mean? Travelling around the world surfing and not that I was good enough ever to do it, but that's always sort of, if I dreamt of anything, being a pro surfer was probably one of them, So once I'd finished football, as well, when you leave school, like a lot of people go into university, a lot of people do other things. So I did footy up until I was 27, so it was sort of like another school, you know what I mean? You got told what to do, you couldn't go out, you know what I mean? You couldn't go out on a Thursday night and anywhere because you get in trouble, you get fined, people see you, and then, so it was sort of, once I'd finished that at 27, I just wanted to go surfing and see the world a bit, so that's, so I played footy down there and just surfed our coastline a lot, you know what I mean, WA, and then, that's pretty much all I did was just go surfing and work,
When did you first ever go on a stand-up panel then?
That was a couple of years before, so probably about 2007.
So that's quite early at that point. There wasn't many around.
No, there weren't. And being living in Perth, yeah, all we've got is small waves. Like, I get over to Rottnest a bit and down south and up north, where there are good waves. But when you know, like I was, 35 sort of thing, 36, and I put on a couple of kilos, and the small waves weren't really exciting me. And then you got little kids doing little 360 airs next to you, and you just can't go away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It made me feel old. And then a couple of my mates were doing it down south, and I said, Dave, you need to get one of these. This will, get you back in the water and get your frothing again, get your fitness level up, and then when the good days come, jump back on the shortboard. So I thought, well, that was a great idea.
Did you get that? It's quite interesting because it would have been, like, nowadays you can go down and you can see stand-up paddles everywhere. That must have been quite a new thing. Did you get much shit from other surfers at that point?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the boards we were riding back there too, like my first board was a 12-foot lead, so it was like 5.5 inches thick. And it was 12 foot long, and 32 inches wide. So, I mean, I don't know, and they didn't have litres back then, like now, as all the boards are in literage.
Yeah.
They didn't have that back then, so, we were just on these death machines pretty much, And the worst thing was, if you pulled into a barrel and the lip grabbed you by the head and threw you over, you were guaranteed a copying the board.
Yeah,
somewhere.
that's a lot of boards.
It's 12 foot of it. You couldn't get away from it, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, and if you tried to run forward and dive over the front, your leg rope foam stopped you. Like, the leg rope wasn't long enough to get over the nose of the board, you know what I mean? Like, it was hard to find a 12-foot leg rope back in those days. So, look, I mean, and being a new sport, everyone was into us, a lot of people. But to be honest with you, when I was starting, I didn't really paddle around surfers,
Yeah.
Because, I didn't want to be that guy, and B, I didn't want to hurt anyone.
Yeah.
So...
It's 12 foot.
Yeah, that's it.
Strapped to you.
That's it, exactly. So I've always been mindful of that when I'm with surfers, is I don't want to go out and make enemies, because it's the place I love being is in the water, and we all go to the water to get away from our, what's stressing us on land, or it's our little getaway,
It is, and there's nothing worse than sitting there or standing there and someone turns up and they've just brought their attitude from work out, and it's like,
oh, exactly. Yeah.
Put it back.
Oh, it's exactly. That's dead right. So,
your mates get you into it. How do we go from there to an invite on the world tour?
Well, I'd actually lost my licence at that stage, so I was doing month on month off up in Port Hedland on the DN30, which was a support vessel for Leonardo da Vinci, which was dredging out the harbour for BHP and Fortescue for berths up there. So I was spending a lot of time in Indo and surfing Ulus a lot, getting some photos, and then this one day I was actually back here. I was down at Margaret River, and it was absolutely pumping, and I looked out and saw there was no one out at the bombing. It was perfect, sort of 10, 12 foot, and I just paddled out, and the very first wave it wasn't one of the bigger ones. It hit the inside, and I just pulled up under it, and it was probably one of the best barrels I've ever had on a stand-up to date, and just got it barreled off my head and then spat out, and then went back out and got a bit cocky on the next one and faded the bottom turn. And as I'm bottom turning, the lip came over my head and landed in the middle of my board and snapped it. No. And just went in, and there was a guy by the name of Scott McKercher in the car park who he said, "Oh mate, it's a bummer." I was like, yeah. And I sort of recognised him, but I didn't really know Scotty too well at that stage. He was a windsurfer, and one of my sister's friends, Jane Seaman, who's a big windsurfer, she's sort of mates with him, and sort of knew who he was because he'd won a world title windsurfing.
Yeah.
And then I got a phone call about a week later saying, and it was Harry, a mate who knew Scotty, and just said, was I interested in a new board? And I was like, is this a trick question? I said, I haven't got a board. And then And then so I went down to Scotty's, he said, come down, I got 9 demos there, you know, come down and pick one. So I went and picked one, and then I think I'd snapped that in the first week. And he's like, shit. Alright, come back. So I went back and got another one, and then it just went from there. And then he started giving us boards, and then a few months later, I got a phone call saying, did I want to go to Tahiti to, you know, represent Australia and be on the international team for the first Contenders Tour, which was the Contenders Tour for the World Tour in Tahiti. And there was, a team of Hawaiians, and then Tahitians, and then four of us made up the international team. So there were 12 of us.
What was that like to receive that call?
I was like, are you kidding?
Is it?
Will I go?
How similar was that between that and then when you had the guy from Hawks sitting in your mum and dad's?
Oh yeah, it was surreal. Exactly, that's it. Like, you know what I mean? Alan Jeans, if anyone knows footy, he's probably one of the best coaches ever to coach. You know, and Hawthorn was such a. And mate, to me that was when footy was footy, so for me growing up, like, you know what I mean, I was idolising him, So that for me, and well mate, they're both pretty surreal, because, you know, to go represent your country over in Teahupo'o, and especially going to Tahiti, because that was like the heaviest wave on the planet at that stage, you know, so it was just like, wow, I'd love to go, you know. Yeah. But sort of, do I really want to go?
Do you really want to go? So I, in researching for this, I actually saw a little YouTube clip, I think, when you just won the first 2 heats. And you look pretty focused.
Yeah, mate, no, I look. But, and the thing was too, like, so leading up to that, we had a week there already, and there were no waves at all. And the day before the swell arrived, we rolled up there, and because they're surfing all these other smaller breaks around, and then we went there the day before because the swell was hitting, and then everyone's going, right, let's go out, get out there, get out there. And I was like, I just looked at it, it was like 2-3 foot, and it's just a dry reef, basically. Yeah. So the bigger it is, the further it breaks off it. So, the less chance, obviously, you got of hitting the bottom, and the boards back in the day when we started had big round noses, and they just made me this one board which was 20 kilos heavy because they thought weight was the key. Yeah. In those early days, so copying that in the head really didn't interest me too much, and because Teahupo'o is such a barreling wave and steep wave that I just figured that all that board wasn't meant to fit in that little wave. Yeah. And then a guy by the name of Baptiste, who was the Oxbow team manager. Yeah. So he looked after lead. And, a lot of good people when they went over there. He was out there paddling the day before, and he towed the place at 20 foot and surf. He was really handy. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he actually broke his neck and was paralysed. So that happened the day before. Right. We were meant to compete, you know what I mean? So it was like, whoa, you know. I like it. Exactly. And this is a guy that's really experienced, and you know what I mean? And I haven't even seen the place break properly, or you know what I mean? Yeah. So I was fretting a bit, but then the swell rolled up, so going into it, that was a pretty sad day. The day before, the guy breaking his neck, and it had us all questioning ourselves whether it could be done, and all the rest of it, you know what I mean? But then the next day came, and it was a solid 8-10 feet set. It was as big as you could get before you had to start towing it, you know what I mean? And mate, it all happened, all went down, and no one got hurt. So it was a pretty awesome day. It was just good to be part of it, you know? Yeah. Like,
So, what was it like going from, you played at highest level in a team event to now all of a sudden quite a big stage of a competition, but it's just Dave on his own? Yeah, and a lot of people ask me, what's it compare like? Well, it's nothing like it. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously running out with your, back in when I was playing, I was 21.
your top 21. And it was, you had your mates alongside you to razz you up. And it was a team game, whereas this is, obviously just myself, so... But mate, I get as far as soon as just pulling that rashy on, similar to pulling a jumper on, I get all fired up. I get all, you know what I mean? Like I'm the only West Aussie there. That's it.
Yeah.
Game on,
Game on.
And because I'm a bit older than most of them, so you want to try and keep the young fellas as honest as you can. You know what I mean? Just let them know you're still there.
There you go.
Yeah.
So what is it actually like going surfing at Chopu then? Because I've only ever seen videos of it.
It's absolutely horrendously frightening. Like it's the most, for me it's the heaviest wave on the planet. It's just frightening. It's so it's, how it operates is it's just a little bend on the reef and you need a southwest swell for it to wrap down it, and then the last section of the wave they call the west bowl. If it's got any west in it, it just turns and pinches, so you can't come out. So you're just saying, oh, here we go, and then it starts going around the corner and won't let you out.
Yeah.
So it's heavy
like
that.
Closes and you're in.
Oh yeah. And then you're in big trouble. But yeah, it's just you just gotta go. That's the only, It's like any wave of consequence. As soon as you hesitate, that's when you're in trouble.
Right.
You just want to get to the bottom of it. If you can't get to the bottom of it, you want to you really want to be getting as much momentum going down the face as you can to try and get away from that lip on the head.
I like that, any wave of consequence. You can't hesitate.
No, you definitely can't. No.
Awesome. So you came second there. You must have been pretty stoked with that.
Yeah, absolutely rap. Yeah.
Did things change after that?
Mate, I got a well, it's actually quite heavy that first trip because the reason I actually got a bait starboard who I was with, their number one rider was a Kolo Kalama.
Right.
So he was Hawaiian,
Yeah.
and then he asked for a ridiculous lump of money, and it was the first year of the tour, so Sven sort of went Hawaiian starboard, said, nah mate, we can't do that, and then Scotty rang me, and little did I know that I was the one that was taking a Kolo's spot.
Right.
So when they took me to Tahiti, they put me on a boat with 4 Hawaiians, and it was 4 Hawaiians and myself, and then I was the bloke that took the Kolo, the main man's sponsorship, you know what I mean? So it was fairly hostile.
Really?
It was, like in the end, I'd let them go surfing and then they'd come in and I'd go out surfing.
Right.
You know, like it was pretty, they were just being...
Were they quite open and transparent about...
Oh man, they were leaning on me the whole time, and that's what they do. They just test you,
Right.
And then I was like, well, mate, I'm the only West Aussie here. I'm not going anywhere.
I've got a background in football.
I don't think I really cared about that, but...
Yeah.
So, anyway, that was... And then what sort of broke the camel's back was we had on one of the flat spell days, we had a little... a competition between the Hawaiians, Tahitians and the international team, and one was they had 2 big 42-foot cats, and then one leg of it was to prone paddle around on a board, lie down, and then one was to stand up paddle, and then it was a swimming race as well. So it was the 3 teams against each other, and then the 4th one was to dive down between 2 people that jump off the boat and dive down. And the first person to grab a can of Hanano, which is their local beer there, they had under a shell, and then bring back to the top one.
Yeah.
And then, so they'd all been surfing for about 3 hours. They came in, I went out.
Yeah. And
I was at it for about 3 hours, and then come in and they said, oh, we're going to do this little leg, you know what I mean? And I went, oh, I was so knackered, and then I just went, oh, no worries. And then, so who did they put me up against? A Kolo. To dive for this can of beer, so it was just on.
It was just on.
It was just like, it was like MMA underwater, we were just going...
Was it?
Oh, it was
bang.
Yeah, absolutely. And then he'd always have his can on, I'd just hand him his can, I'd grab him by the feet and pull him up and kick him to the top. And we did that about 3 or 4 times until I thought I was, and then I just gave up because I had nothing left, and then I waited until he swam right down next to it. and then I grabbed him by the foot and kicked him up, and then got enough momentum off him to grab the can. So I sort of come up, you know what I mean?
With it.
And he was 10 years younger than me as well, you know. So it sort of quieted him down a bit after that. Yeah, it was good.
Cool. So how long after that was it before you left Starboard and started riding the Indian Ocean paddle surfboard?
Well, I was with Starboard for about 5 years.
Yeah.
And then...
So you're now on the tour and you're going to all the events?
Yeah, we're doing, that's it. So Starboard were really good to me. They, I mean, the only time you won money was when you won an event. So, but everything was covered. Airfares, your accommodation, all your boards, and then they'd give you about 10 boards a year, which would be worth about $3,000 each. So you sort of, that's how you got your money. You sold your boards, and that sort of propped you up a bit for the year, you know what I mean? And I'd sort of then, after 5 years, we were actually in the Caribbean, and the top 16 in the world got to go on the Location X tour, which was the British Virgin Islands. So halfway through that, Starboard contacted me and said, "Oh look, we're gonna let you go." And I was actually already looking for someone else, because the boards that I were riding were just, so the demographic of the sport were mainly middle-aged men, right?
Yeah.
So the boards that they were making, and their main board was a Whopper, which is this big rounded nose thing. So all the boards I was riding weren't performance boards, and then they were making these, you know, pointy nosed little smaller boards for the younger kids. But as far as sales, those little boards for little kids weren't selling. The boards that were selling were for the big old blokes. So that's it. So they were giving me the boards and sending me to places like Teahupo'o, which was just, you know, these boards weren't made for the waves. You know what I mean? But that was my job, to make them look like they worked. But as far as me competing against them, I couldn't compete against them on these boards.
Right.
So they weren't making me the boards, you know. So I was getting fed up at the stage, whereas, you know, I mean, it was all good fun and that, but I actually wanted to see if I could win another comp, you know what I mean? So, and be competitive, you know. So, to Marshall, who was my parents live in Netherlands, and then the Captain Sterling shopping centre, there's a fish and chip shop.
Yeah.
A guy there called Marshall, he owned it, and he started doing paddle boards, and then I'd go in there and say, "Oh mate, when are you going to come and, you know, surf me?" I'd think to myself, "Why the hell would I go to you?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then in the end, I just went down and said, "Well, what are you going to make me a board that I want to ride?" He said, "Mate, we'll make you whatever you want." And then so he sent me the first board he made for me was at Sunset Beach, and I think on the biggest day, the last heat of the day, I was up against Kai Lenny, he's pretty much the best boarderman in the world. Like he's top 5 in 4 or 5 different disciplines, like windsurfing and all that. So he's the man, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then I had Justin Holland, who's a Queenslander, and then I was on a brand new Indian Ocean, and then I actually managed to, I got a 7.6 and then a 9.17, so I ended up winning the heat, you know, on this new board. So, mate, we were pretty happy that that the boards were working and that it was actually pumping, you know, because when the waves are good, I'm sort of got a little bit of a shot against everyone, or I've got a pretty good chance. But when the waves are small, it's
hard work.
Yeah, it is, and the kids are a lot more agile than that. But
kids, love it.
So that was awesome. You know, it was a big, you know, fist pump for Marshall and myself that firstly he could produce a board that would be competitive, and I'd actually come back with my local fish and chip shop guy, and we're beating, you know, the best brands in the world. It was pretty exciting. Yeah. But then the next day I come back, I got knocked out in the quarterfinals, I think. So it was that was a bit disappointing, but it had backed off, and I actually only went over with one board because that's all the time we had to make it, you know. Yeah. So I was on a
how's that progressed since?
Oh mate, the boards are just like, and even the ones now, they're like, I just snapped one recently on the really big swell we had, and that board was the best board. It's like I was on a surfboard. It's the best board I've ever ridden. So the rails are getting really low, and it's all just figuring out how many. And the different, this is the different constructions as well. So the epoxy gives you more flotation. Yeah. So you got to figure out, like when you're pretty good or when you're good at the top level, you're generally about 1 litre a kilo. That's the ratio. But with these epoxies, you can have like 5 or 6 litres less. Right. So we're just getting to the stage where we're just really fine tuning. The amount of litres you have, and just the specific rails. Like as I said, really low rails the whole way through the board. And because with a paddleboard too, as soon as you really want to turn a board, you need a nice refined, tight, pulled-in tail. Yeah. But with stand-up paddle, you can't have it too small because then the board starts rolling and it becomes really unstable. Yeah. So it's a really fine line to getting one that turns and works.
As well as you can stand on it.
Yeah, because you gotta actually catch the wave.
Like when you get out there.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. But when you're competing, that's the hardest thing because you still got to have that agility to see a wave and run and beat a guy to the wave. So you can't go too small because then they just paddle circles around you. Yeah. So it's a
fine line.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's quite as much as Formula One, but
it's on there.
It's getting there. Yeah.
I actually chucked a message to Marshall the other day, telling him that I was going to do a podcast with you, and all he said was get Dave to tell a story about when he had to pick someone up on the way back from Rottnest.
Pick someone up from Rottnest. Oh, good on you, Marshall. Yeah, no, that was look. What had happened was I'd found this guy down he was running by the name of John Geordie, and he was making boats, Sea Vision boats down in O'Connor. So a mate of mine came to me and said, "Oh look, could you?" Because I already had a little south wind and knew a bit about boats. He said, "Can you come down and have a look at this boat?" I said, "No worries." So I put down a deposit on one of these things before him because I liked him so much. And then I ended up selling them for him. But he actually modified the console for me. So he made it smaller, which with a centre console, your cable throttles go inside of your console through the floor of your hull. Yeah. And then, if you get water on the deck, it's a self-draining deck, Whereas my cables were going on the outside of my console straight to the floor of my hull. And I thought that was watertight, but it was letting water in. So anyway, we had a mishap on the way back, and he fell over, and we were sort of about halfway back, and it was about 5 in the arvo, and we'd surfed the Strickos and went to the pub for a couple of beers, and then tried to catch a couple of squid, and then on the way back we just sort of stopped to get all our get all the rods realigned and the boards, and then I gave him a bit of a nudge, and he ended up going backwards. Hit the control, snapped it off, ended up in the water. And then, so for about half an hour I was trying to, because it was so deep, I couldn't throw an anchor. It was about the wind was about 35 knots, so it just kept me pushing myself further away from my mate. I couldn't turn the boat into the ocean, you know what I mean? If I turned it off, I couldn't get it going again. So I thought, well, the best thing is I'd swim in my board, so I paddled the board up to him and gave it to him. Then it took me about half an hour. So by the time I got to him too, he was wearing my Mistral spray jacket, which I'd been given by my girlfriend for my birthday. So he didn't want to take that off, and he was a big boy because he didn't want to lose it. So he was treading water for about half an hour with this thing on, with a couple of jugs in him. So by the time I'd gotten to him, he was half dead, you know. I said, "Take the jacket off, buddy," and he just lay there on the board, just getting his his breath back, sort of thing. And then, so I had to catch the boat again. So it took me about half an hour to catch up to the boat, and then I couldn't get on the thing because it just kept running away from me. So I had to swim in front of it, and then let the thing run me over and grab it, and then slide down the side of the hull. and then get on the boat, and then as soon as I got on the boat and went to walk up the side, because it had a dual walk-through transom, the waves were just going straight over the back and it was just filling my hull up.
Right.
So I just started sinking, like going tail first. So I'm running up the side of it and then grabbed the other side of the gunnel and it flipped over on top of me and then started submerging. I'm amongst rods and board bags and I was just like freaking out and I just waited for it to stop sinking and then it caught a air pocket and then started coming back up, so I knew that was my break. And then I got out of there and come up and then I'm looking for my mate going, where's Simon? And then thought, well, what do I do? You know what I mean? Like the boat's about 1.5 foot underwater and I thought, shit, jeepers, I think the thing might sink. And so anyway, I thought, well, the best thing is to go back down and grab my board, you know? So at least I've got something to lie on. So I went back down and pulled my board out. And it had a board bag on, so I was pulling that out of the board bag and then 2 leashes came out at me. I thought, well, I'll grab them. And then, they tell you not to go away from your boat, but I was more worried about my mate, do you know what I mean? So I paddled back up into the breeze and it took me about another half an hour to catch him. And by this stage it was, getting on dark and he's still lying on his board, just puffing and panting, so I put a leg rope over his head, sort of under his arms, and pulled that tight. Then attached that to the other leg rope, and then put that one on my leg. So then I swung with the southwest, and I'd get a run up, and I'd start sort of body, on my surfboard, start sort of body surfing down it, and then the leg ropes would go tight, and then it'd pull him, so we sort of bungeed back towards the coast. You know what I mean? And then about 1 kilometre or 1.5 kilometres off, at about 11:30 at night, it decided to turn offshore. So it blew straight into us. And by that stage, I was just like, Dolty, mate, you got to paddle your own, you know what I mean, from here, because it was just too much. And then so he grew up in Swanbourne. So we ended up in between the Swanbourne, where the surf club is, and City Beach. And then we came into the beach and there was like this, it was like a toilet, like an outhouse.
Yeah.
Except with no door on it. Oh, it was really bizarre. I said to Doc, mate, have you seen that before? And he goes, nah. So I figured, well, because he'd grown up surfing there his whole life down at Nudie, so that's where, we used to surf a bit, and he grew up there, so I thought, well, we must be close to City Beach. And then it was about 11:30 at night, I was freezing. I said, look, mate, I'm going to start jogging down there, you start walking. And then, so I started jogging down, and he walked back, and then...
what happened to the boat?
Well, I thought that it had sunk, so... and the worst part was, I hadn't put a HIN number on it, or I had no numbers on or anything, so... I thought it sunk, so I didn't end up, reporting it or anything, because I thought it was on the bottom. And mate, we didn't get home until probably 2 o'clock that night. And then I slept, and then a fisherman was coming out from Hillary's and almost ran it over. So it had actually caught an airlock in there, and with the foam in it, it had
just foam.
Yeah, so it was pretty good. I mean. And the stupid thing was, it was a really good lesson because I didn't have it insured or anything. So, and then the guy towed it in, and then they pulled it out. So I got the boat back, and it was pretty embarrassing, obviously.
Thanks for sharing.
But the main thing was that my mate was alright.
Yeah.
That would have been my big one. I mean, if I'd lost my mate, then.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you lose your boat for being a clown, then that's alright.
It's a life lesson.
That's it.
There you go.
Yeah.
So how have you, through footy and many years of being on the surf tour, how have you managed to keep yourself in shape?
Well, look, mate, I sort of let myself go there for a little bit. But the good thing is and that's the thing, I was doing about 5 or 6 trips a year, but I was still working, do you know what I mean? So, I was, doing month on month off on a boat, so keeping my fitness level was quite hard. But these boards, you don't need to be super overly fit, you know what I mean? I mean, you do, but you can still sort of pull it off, and you've got water safety there to help you out if you did knock yourself out. That's the best thing that I like about it. I mean, would I go to, surfing Teahupo'o and places like this in Sunset on a stand-up, it's nice to know you got someone there that's going to pull you out if you do.
Yeah, if you get
in big trouble. You know what I mean? So
it's a bit like you wouldn't want to swim to a rock nest. And, well, some people do it, and I've got friends who do it, but I don't mind swimming to rock nest on the rock nest swim day because you've got all the kit there to look after you.
Yeah,
so it must be the same.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. So, and like I was swimming laps up there in the pool, and I've always had a pretty good base fitness, and always been pretty good with the water. So, yeah. So I mean, that sort of, I would have loved to have had a crack at it with full sponsorship and being with because half the guys do that. That's all they do. They just compete and get money and just go paddling every day. But I haven't had that luxury. But at the same time, mate, I'm just stoked to have been given the opportunity. Yeah. As a lot of people don't get the chance. So for me at 38 to get a chance, it was like, well, here we go. And yeah, mate, and even today, I'm sort of the only one still there that is competing right from the start. So I think it's what I'm up to in my 8th year. So I'd like to just, I'll only do the bigger wave events. I'd like to get to 10 years and then, and just that's my personal goal. That's what I've sort of said to myself, and if I can do that, I'll be really happy.
10 years and get back on the podium.
And then, well, mate, wouldn't that be awesome? But I'm a realist. Look at me, I'm 47, but
there you go.
Yeah, that's that would just be the icing on the cake, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But mate, just to roll up and be competitive, I think that's the main thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just to,
just go to those great places and ride those waves and stuff.
Yeah, mate. Who gets to go to Tahiti? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
It's awesome. I love it.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, what are some of your big, over the years with the footy and the surfing, what are some of the big, life learning lessons that you've got out of all of that?
Life learning or highlights?
Bit of both, that.
Bit of both. Life learning is, look, when you're travelling, I think you've got to be respectful. It doesn't matter which country you're in, to the locals, and that's what I've always done. And I've never actually been in, touch wood, too much trouble. Just respecting different countries and their culture.
Yeah.
And a lot of people go away and say they go, 4 of them hook up and they get a house and hang out with all the people that they compete with. Whereas I like to take a bit of their because everyone grows up differently. Everyone's got different cultures and people are different. So I like to put a bit of time into the people of where we come from and or where they come from, in the country that I'm travelling to, and just to find out really, and once you do hang around them and put a bit of time with them, then they show you a couple of little gems that not a lot of people get to see. And that's the biggest thing for me is to, because, as I said, I've got given an opportunity, so I'm the only West Aussie that goes away and it's nice to represent where you come from properly, what I mean? So a lot of people sort of, I think that becomes with too sort of your age as well, I'm not a young punk anymore and I probably might be different if I was young, what I mean? But being an older statesman there, it's just sort of, I'm in more of a cruising mode now as well. So just to see and there's a guy called Dwayne DeSoto who and he runs the Kamakai, which is for unprivileged youth, so they might come from a broken family or and just to go there and I got this one little girl in Tahiti and she didn't want to go there in the water and she was only about 3 or 4 and she was crying and just to get her and get her confidence and then get her on the water and then she didn't want to come in, and just to know, that sort of, just to give a bit back to the local community, Awesome. It was awesome, pretty good.
What, are there any other goals for the next 3 to 5 years? Try and get to 10 years of being on the comp?
Mate, any other goals? Not really. At this stage, I haven't, no, not just to get back, or just to be a part of it, you know? Like that for me is, yeah, I just like to roll up and just to still be a part of it, just to pull a jersey on at 47, still pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think I've been pretty lucky like that, you know what I mean? So, no, not really. Just footy highlights. Once we were talking about highlights, was the Claremont grand finals. The 96 grand final was awesome. That was huge against East Perth. That was such a good game of footy. And I also played against Gary Ablett at Cardinia Park when he kicked his 1,000 goals. So that was, and mate, to me, like, Ablett was the best player ever to play the game, or one of them anyway.
Yeah.
So just to be there and see that, you know what I mean, and be part of it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And just, also just when Fremantle started up, you know, that was a pretty awesome time. Just to be an inaugural Docker, actually kicked the first goal ever, which was pretty cool.
Did you?
Yeah, I think it was the first game we ever played in the Northern Territory, so they had a combined side. So I wasn't Todd Ridley kicked the first official goal, but I kicked the first goal ever. So that was pretty cool. I think I only kicked 3. So, so I'll take that.
Most important one.
Yeah. So that was sort of, and the footy, mate. The footy was awesome. You know, like football is a big part of our country, and it's just pulling on a jersey and going out and mate, it was just pretty good times, you know. But yeah, as far as surfing goals now, probably not to die. That would be because as I said, not getting any younger. But mate, I'd just like to get. I've just started really for the first time. Started training again. I've just started getting back in the gym.
Yeah.
Because as you know, mate, once you sort of turn 40, you start dropping off a bit unless you start. That's it, you know. It's like swimming to Rotto. You can't swim to Rotto anymore. You gotta do the yards, So, mate, that so just to try and get the body back up to speed. And one last goal, I would love to win the Rottnest comp. I've never won that.
Yeah.
And I came second the other year, but that would be before I sort of retire. That would be, you know, and the reality of that again, like we've got some pretty good kids nationally, so we'll see how it goes, mate. You know, just for me really is just rolling up and still being able to pull on a jersey and be healthy. You know,
be competitive.
Well, that's it. Just not look like you shouldn't not be there.
Yeah,
you know? That's the main one.
If you could go back and have a chat with Dave right at the start when he's just about to start playing footy at Claremont Colts and give him a piece of advice from here, what would that be?
What would that be? Mate, well, as I've said, for me, the longevity was a big one for me. Like, I'd just see the ball and just want to bulldog it, you know. I'd go as hard at the ball or as hard at the bloke.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, I think I'd probably, if I actually concentrated on and did a fair bit more work on my skills and just thought about the game a lot more instead of going flat out to the point where I'd just blow up all the time. I think that would be a part of it, and probably, but I mean, you can always, there's always hindsight. You can always look back and have regrets or whatever, but look, at the end of the day, Bryn, I'm pretty fortunate to have been given the opportunity to play at that level. So a lot of people don't. So I mean, the good thing for me also was seeing the 3 different clubs. So the Eagles, which were premiers in 92, 94, I went there in 93, then North Melbourne in 94, which, you know, Carey and all the boys were there. They had, their squad was unbelievable. Out of the 42, I think Troy Polak, so when I rolled up, the general manager picked me up with Troy Polak, who is a West Aussie, and he's actually one of my good friends these days. His brother Graham got hit by the tram. I don't know if you remember him.
Oh,
But he ended up coming back to play a couple of games at Richmond, so that was a really good comeback over 12 months or something. But out of that 42 that were at North Melbourne on the list, 28 of them are in coaching roles in the AFL now.
Yeah.
So the 3 coaches at that time was Malthouse, Pagan and Neesham. And mate, they were all champions in their own right.
Yeah.
And all really successful. So to see the different...
that knowledge come down and then move on.
Yeah, and different styles of coaching.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like Pagan was such a Melbourne-based coach where everything was inside footy, so really quick hands.
Yeah.
Which, you know, and a lot of physical body on body, whereas Neesham was more, you know, with eyes up, vision up, you know, lights on, create space, run into space, never stop, second, third efforts, which, you know, the 2 styles were totally different, you know.
Yeah.
But they were both super successful coaches, and same as Malthouse, you know, but it was different again. So, and just seeing the different squads, you know, like, so Eagles had won the flag in 92, I went there in 93.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then they were all, because it was a stateside, and you had your South Fremantle boys, and, you know, so everyone was sort of a bit disjointed.
Yes.
As well as I was a new kid, so I went there with Jared Schofield, Drew Banfield, Brendan Green, and myself. So we were the 4 that year. So I think the only one that got a run, I think Schofield and played a few games, and Banfield, but Green and myself didn't. But yeah, just to go there and see that, and then those boys, and then go from there to North Melbourne, which were all just country boys.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, "G'day, mate." Everyone's really grounded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and I enjoyed my time at North Melbourne. They were great boys. They were really tight knit footy club. And then coming back with Freo, you know, again it was exciting because it was new. So it was all pretty, you know, mate, I was pretty lucky to see all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though I didn't play a lot of games, but
Still got to see it.
yeah,
From the inside.
That's it, mate. Yeah, yeah.
One last question. If you could upload one of Dave's little nuggets into everyone's collective consciousness just to make the world a better place, what would that be?
Wow. To make it a better place.
Yeah.
Oh, look.
What's the sort of thing where you're sitting there with a beer going, God, if everybody just got this, then life would be easy.
Well, I think just treat people the way you'd like to be treated. Really.
Yeah.
That's my biggest one is, and that's where I get a bit fired up and upset at people but everyone's different, aren't they? I think that's the other thing. You've got to really just be happy with yourself and not really get too caught up in life and what other people. I mean, what's normal? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Who says what is normal?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So,
Exactly.
you know, and I grew up sort of western suburbs and that sort of thing, so it's pretty pretentious around there. You just got to, you know, I mean, especially if you're growing up these days, you just got to be happy with who you are and just have a crack at life, I think, you know.
Yeah.
When you get, the biggest thing is, if you get an opportunity, make sure you capitalise on that opportunity, because you might only get a couple in life.
Yeah.
And if you miss that one, then you'll be pretty upset
Yeah.
10 years down the track. So, well, yeah, for me, if it pops up, grab it by both fists.
Yeah.
If you want it, and don't let go of it.
Awesome.
Mm.
Dave, it's been an absolute treat talking to you today.
No worries.
If people want to find you, where can they find you on Facebook?
Yeah, I've just got Dave Muir, Stand-Up Paddleboarder. That's my site. And then on Instagram, Davo_Muir.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's where they'll find me.
Yeah. No, it's been an absolute pleasure, and it's been really insightful to hear, you know, about what it's like to play actual top level footy and be involved in all of that, as well as what's it like to go and surf at places like Teahupo'o, where I've only ever seen it on YouTube. So there you go. Thanks for your time.
Cheers, Bryn.